Now, what brings us here, this is Mr. Wade. This is the place where Elizabeth Dunham lived at. And it's a major story that I'm going to talk about that she had with a politician. The politician in the 1970s ran her entire life. So I'm going to break it down about Elizabeth Dunham. And this is where she stayed at and eventually died in her 40s. And she was valued as a supreme being, silent of what happened between her and the politician. This is the place right here. I will post the name of the place here. Stay tuned for more from Tombstone Whispers. Now, thank you to all our subscribers out there. We appreciate you. We appreciate the new ones that's coming. We subscribe back, me and Mrs. Crime. Tombstone Whispers. Let's begin the story. Mr. Wade here. So, let me break it down onto the story of the female, her name is Posted, that was in this entanglement with a politician back in the 1970s. So this is what happened. Her mom and dad worked for this politician, a big name in Portland area. I'm gonna post his name up here. This guy was very big. He was involved in a lot of things. Big time politician. Well, this guy befriended his worker's daughter. At the time, she was 14. Now, this politician here is saying that she was older than that, trying to cover herself. So basically, how it all began was he used to tell her, will you come down the basement of your house to help me with something? So she'll go down at the age of 14, and this guy ended up having sex with her. Now, after these numerous occasions of him having sex with her, he was still running for office. He was a politician. He became actually mayor of Portland. Yes, back in the 1970s. Now, this guy had her supreme secrecy that she would never speak of this. Now, you would think this guy would just leave her alone. Statutory rape, right? But he continued. He said he continued for a couple times. As she got older, she actually told people that the sexual thing happened numerous times. In fact, up until the age of 30. 29 or 30. So Mr. Wade and Mrs. Crown was like, wow, this is a trip. So this big name politician, of course, pictures are posted on here, and of course, of the victim. Now, the place I showed you earlier, that was where she died at the age of 49, in her late 40s. And she died of some kind of illness. I will post it once I find it. Now, throughout these years of her having sex with this politician and being quiet all these years, it mentally affected her. She became, she had depression. She had everything you could think of. She developed over the years. This guy always told her to be quiet. Now, you know the mom and dad had to find out about this later on. But just knowing that you working for this guy, right? And you turn around and molest and rape my daughter and continue to do it. So she lived a regular life, mentally messed up, of course. She lived a regular life of being up in high school, and she had to end up working jobs, trying to get her mind off everything. But she gets reminded of that because, why? Because he kept on having sex with her. Now, the statutory law says within 2 years after the time of the incident, that's the longest period that he could be statutory rape. Now, from the age of 14 up until her 20s, it was never known to be statutory rape because it was never reported. Of course, he probably gave her money. Now, I heard there's a court date that happened off of this, and she was awarded some big lump sum of money and was vowed to be quiet. Politicians, right? Power of the community, power of the city. So, in her 20s, she decided she wanted to move to Seattle, leave the Portland metro area alone and go to Seattle. This guy paid for it, of course, this politician. She went out there and she said she's gonna make a new way of life. So she went out there and he paid for her a place to stay. She got her a job. She stayed out there for 2 years. Now, within them 2 years, she ended up becoming raped by some guy that broke into her house and raped her and tried to murder her, but he ended up in prison himself due to this. Now, with Mr. Wade, the way I think was, since this politician helped her move to Seattle, got her a place, and she was working out there for 2 years, did this guy try to have her taken out, which means killed? So there will be no more talk about what's going on? That's the way I think. Is that the way you think? But, so, she came back to Portland. She had all kind of mental illness. She got into the drugs. She got into the alcohol. So the place I showed you is where she actually passed away. That's the story of her. The story that happened between her and a politician at the age of 14. Wow. Now, the story is, in my terms, a very cold story. A very story of a guy that shows his power. He would not have wanted that done to his daughter, right? But he done it to somebody else's daughter. Sickness. But the stories let you know that there are things like this has been going on and it's still going on to this day. So I'm out at the Willamette Cemetery. Now, her ashes were scattered. She doesn't have a plantation, she doesn't have a columbarium, and she doesn't have a grave. I came out here to give the ambience of what happened to her and to give you guys the unfortunate, sad story of her. A lot more to come from Tombstone Whispers. Stay tuned for a lot more. Hope you guys enjoyed this unfortunate story. A lot more to come.